In this Photoshop tutorial, this is Photoshop CS6, we're going to create a magazine cover. You can follow along by visiting hunkim.com/share/baby.png, and we have already cleaned out some of the hair. So let's just begin with using the text tool, and just click. We're going to use a Comic Sans font just because this is a baby magazine, and normally this font should be legal, but in this case I'm going to name this magazine Baby. I'm going to use the Move tool or press the letter V to move it down, and when you move it using the arrow keys, you can even press Shift arrow to move things more quickly, and of course you can even use your mouse. Okay, so I have here this magazine called Baby, and what I'll do is I'll use the text tool. I'll highlight one letter, the letter A, and I'm going to change the color. So I'll just change the color to, we'll just say blue. So choose the blue here, then choose the blue here, okay, and then I'll just choose another yellow. We'll try green, and then I'll try another color. I'll try yellow. So here's maybe orange, some kind of yellow. Okay, so we have a nice baby font there using all different colors. It's interesting how we can actually use different colors within that one text word. I'm going to double click here on this baby layer. I'm going to add a nice stroke. So click in the middle of the layer style box here called stroke, and we'll just leave it not on the outside, not on the inside, which makes it a lot more skinny. We'll just draw that stroke right on the center. You can drag the little slidey bar here until it looks reasonable, maybe around 5 pixels. Click on OK. We now find a picture of some clouds from the internet. We create a new layer, drag this layer to the background, and we paste. And when we paste, we see that something happened with the hair extraction. It wasn't perfect, so we can try to fix that up in a sec. But for now, let's also click on the text layer and drag it behind the baby. So the idea when you're working with a magazine is we don't always have to have the text in front. You can actually have the subject, the person, actually in front of the text. So now let's clean up some of this residue here. There's many tools you can use. You can use the quick mask tool, or you can use the Polygon Lasso tool. It's up to you. And I just see a pretty strong line here, so I'm just going to focus on just getting some of the main things here. I think the rest should be reasonably acceptable. So I'm just going to try to go around the hair here a little bit. Just going to try to clean out this main chunk line mess here. So I'm just feathering with a setting of 3. Double click, pow, press delete. Make sure that we're on the correct layer. Press Ctrl D or deselect to get rid of that. That's pretty reasonable. So let's zoom out. We have a nice magazine cover. Let's play around and make this a bit more fun. I'm going to actually right click, duplicate this layer here of this baby, and click on OK. Gonna look at the top layer here and add a nice overlay layer, and you can see it really makes the contrast, the brights brighter and the darks darker. It's kind of interesting, a little effect. Let's try something else. Let's go File New, and I'll choose a width and height of 8 pixels. We'll make it transparent. Click OK. We're going to apply a custom pattern. Press Control plus until you zoom in. We'll use the pencil tool just because we can make it 1 pixel, and we'll just choose the color black, and then we'll go across diagonally. This is just one pattern that we can create. We go to Edit, we go to Define Pattern, and then we'll just call it Pattern 1 is fine. Click on OK, and when we go back to our little nice magazine cover, we can now go to the text layer. We're going to double click the text layer and apply a pattern overlay. Click in the middle here. We don't want to use the bubble pattern. We want to use our own custom pattern. So I'll click on this little diagonal line, you can see that the text has some nice diagonal lines. The pattern repeats. And what's interesting here is that you can even drag the scale. Now, something to note is because our original image was 8 by 8 pixels, if you make the scale very large, such as 462%, it gets a bit fuzzy. So if you really want to have a non-fuzzy image, you might have to start off with a bigger picture than actually 8 by 8 pixels. Click OK. Kind of interesting. And let's finish off this tutorial by just kind of just understanding how patterns work a bit better. Create a new layer above the clouds layer, and I'm going to actually use the paint bucket tool, and I'll use the see, here's the paint bucket tool. We will fill it in with not the foreground but the pattern. Which pattern? We'll just hit the drop down arrow, choose our custom one, and when I fill it in, there it is. There's a nice pattern in the background. You can see it, and you might want to even change the opacity. If I were to change it to 50%, it's a bit more subtle. And what you will often see is people use some kind of textures and patterns and subtle various effects to kind of add that final pizzazz. So if I were to just randomly use the Polygon Lasso tool with a nice feather setting, say of 30 pixels, just to show you what it might look like if I actually went around this baby here. I'm just quickly doing it for the sake of time, and I have no mouse, so this is not very accurate, but just to show you what it could look like. If I double click, I've selected this area on this pattern layer with a gradient setting. So when I press delete and I press Ctrl D to deselect, you can see how we can add some subtle effects in there. We see a nice pattern blended in to the background. So hopefully you found this tutorial interesting.